Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It is I, your main MC of the morning, afternoon, and evening.
And I, your secondary, Justin.
By the way, I'm Gavin.
I know.
And you're...
Justin.
There we go.
Thank you.
Cheers. Yeah, so on the last episode of the podcast, Justin got into not necessarily his weekend, but what his weekend kind of... not resemble, but...
The anniversary that happened that weekend.
Yeah, the meaning behind it. And for those that didn't listen or haven't heard yet, this past weekend was the 4-year anniversary of Justin acquiring his Saab, which is the car that's partially defined him as a car enthusiast.
Interestingly, yes.
So my weekend was actually quite eventful.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on the dot, I show up at this guy's house in Taylorsville, and I am throwing the keys to a 2014 981 generation Cayman S. I snagged this on Turo, so shout out to, his name is Brian. Shout out to Brian with the Cayman S on Turo. The car's fantastic, and to tell you more about what the spec of the car, it was a silver Cayman S. Had the Sport Chrono package, which means I think the exhaust was a little sportier. It came with the chronograph, and the steering wheel and paddles were actually different than the Caymans of the same year. A lot of the Caymans and Boxsters and Porsche 911s, I believe, also they had this weird system on the spokes on the steering wheel where you'd push this button like with your thumb on the front of the steering wheel to upshift, I think. And on the back side, it's still the same button assembly. On the back side of the steering wheel, you pull it to downshift with your fingers. It's a very convoluted, complicated system that I've actually driven that version before and couldn't quite get it, and I actually missed some shifts, and I would end up downshifting to like second, or yeah, I'd be like full in third and like kick down, which that system never made sense to me. This one had proprietary paddles, so up on the right and down on the left. But what was also cool, and I'm sure you've seen the steering wheel before. It has on the spokes, it's just black in the middle and like stainless steel going around it.
Yep.
The black is actually a display.
Oh, really?
There's these little lights that are behind it, and they disappear when you're just in normal mode. But when you turn on your sport mode or your sport plus mode, on the left it illuminates sport or sport plus, and then on the right side, when you engage launch control, like that turns on.
Nice.
So it's super dope. And yeah, more about the car though. 325 horsepower, 275 foot-pounds of torque. It revs to over 7,500 RPM.
And it's an NA motor, right?
Yes, the NA 3.6 that actually came out of the 911S.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Or maybe not S. It was a 911 motor, though.
Gotcha.
It wasn't like a bespoke Cayman Boxster motor. And, boy, this thing sounded so nice. It sounded so good. It definitely had that iconic 911 howl from, like, 5,500 RPM and up. It just loved to hang in there. I don't want to necessarily give away too much about the car because this is actually, I'm going to talk about it in an article for Cam Automag. So shout out to Cam Automag. I've done 1 to 2 articles a year for them for the past few years now, a couple of years now. So this is kind of my annual article. But about the trip and what I actually did, for those that don't know, I admin the Park City Car Club group on Facebook, and I'm the one that sets up and organizes the drives and the cruises. I've been doing that for the last 4 years now, actually.
Yeah.
So the last couple years now, we've done one of these per year. Starting next year, I want to do 2. But we do have these things called Grand Tours. And so last year, we drove through Escalante on Highway 12. Shout out to Parker McBriar, who has his yurt down in Torrey. So people would drive down the night before and stay at the yurt in the desert.
Nice.
And yeah, it was fucking rad. Actually, AJ
AJ came
us.
with you, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you had the Golf R.
Yeah, I snagged my buddy Kyle's manual Golf R. At the time, they were prototypes, but he had prototype white line lowering springs, which did great. I thoroughly enjoyed that car, though. And yeah, we drove through Escalante and drove past Kodachrome Basin.
Okay.
And the road on Highway 12, it just comes up and down like this roller coaster. It actually comes up to a ridge that's not terribly unlike Piuma in the sense that it's just like a really narrow ridge where it just drops off on either side, and then you descend back down. You go down this creek road, and there are these rock walls that are beside you. If you have a loud car, it sounds fantastic.
Nice.
And then you eventually come up, and you're kind of faced with this rock wall. And you have these 2 or 3 pretty intense switchbacks where it's just like a hard left and it goes straight, and then a really hard right, and it goes across the entire wall. It's super beautiful.
Gotcha.
Down in the Red Rock of southern Utah. So we did that we did that in the spring, like April of 2018.
Uh-huh.
And we wanted to plan for a fall grand tour this year to embrace the fall leaves and the colors. And so this time around, we started in Logan. This is on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Or no, sorry, Sunday morning. So I met up with one other person in Layton, and we drove up for a little bit together. I stayed with some friends of mine in Tree Mountain, which is actually my first time ever going to Tree Mountain.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I went to Utah State for like a couple of years and like never bothered with Tree Mountain.
Ironic, because I went through Tree Mountain so damn much. I used to work and go to Tree Mountain every day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, so you know that RV park?
Oh, yeah.
So my friends own that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the one just like west of town.
Okay.
Or like west of downtown.
Mm-hmm.
That one. And so I stayed in this really lovely RV with their dog, who is super adorable. And shout out to John and Krista New of Nomadic Heroes. And yeah, so John has this modified S4, his B8 S4.
Gotcha.
Super loud and gnarly and awesome and fast. And we both drove together to Herm's Inn in Logan, where we had a reservation for breakfast and stuffed our faces with amazing food. And the thing was, today the weather was great.
Yes.
This weekend,
not so much.
Not so much. We had rain. We had very light snow, actually.
It was very cold rain.
It was very cold rain. The warmest in the Porsche, the highest temperature I really saw was like 46 degrees.
Even down here in the valley, with me just being at home, I think I was at only at like 56, 58.
Was it really? Yeah. So what we did, we drove up Logan Canyon and actually up to Tony's Grove, which is this fun other little B road that goes to the scenic parking lot, which is actually a trailhead.
Yeah.
And took some group shots there, hung out, and then drove up to Bear Lake. Bear Lake, I've only been to like a handful, like 2 other times.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It was blue. It was as blue as I've ever seen any body of water.
It's one of the deeper lakes in the world, actually.
Is it?
It's got some really deep, weird caves and shit that go down underneath, and that's what gives it a lot of that blue.
This was astoundingly blue. And what's funny is that the weather in Logan was shit. It was terrible.
Yeah.
We drove up the canyon, we drove through the clouds, and then we kind of popped out, like especially at the summit.
Yeah.
It was bluebird sky. Not bluebird, but it was scattered, like occasional clouds, but mostly just sunny, blue, amazing.
Yeah.
And then descended down into like that town that's next to Bear Lake.
I think you guys could hear that, but whatever just drove by was poppity pop 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 popping.
I couldn't quite tell if that was a VQ.
I don't know.
I wonder if it was a GTR, actually.
Actually,
a GTR would make sense.
That sounded V60.
It sounded very Nissan V60, but it also had pops and like a lot of bangs. It sounded like fucking Rose Park out there.
Yep. Shout out to Rose Park. R.I.P. We're thinking of you.
Rose Park. That's just like right around the corner from me. Yeah. But yeah, so we drove through Bear Lake and then connected to the backside of Monte Cristo, where we went up Monte, and that's where we saw the snow because it's 9,000 feet up there. And I just watched the temperature. I was watching the tire pressures of on the car descending, and I saw the temperature also descending. Lowest I saw was like 31 or so, and it was just starting to sprinkle with snow. The rain was never that intense on the drive itself. Going up to Logan was pretty bad, but the day of it wasn't as bad. And then we drove through Monte Cristo. A lot of people that haven't been or that were in the group had not been through there. And I can talk about this because it's been discussed on the Everyday Driver podcast. And I told the people that were there with us that this had happened. But the last time we did a cruise and the last time we went through Monte Cristo, someone went off. And it was dry conditions. It was a bluebird day. We weren't, I mean, I didn't think we were driving that crazy hard. And the driver is actually like a classically trained driver. He's been on track and he knows his shit. But he didn't know that road very well.
Just bad circumstances lead to bad results.
I know, and I saw him go off. I saw it actually happen in the rear view of the car I was riding shotgun in, and so I knew where it happened. And driving through there this past weekend, it just was like, okay, this is Camaro Corner.
Yep.
I just all the anxiety because I was in a car that's not mine in a platform that I'm not as crazy familiar with because I don't drive mid-engine cars every day. A shocker, I know. And in the cold, wet weather conditions. But no one went off. No one died. No one got speeding tickets. No, like nothing bad happened. The only negative thing that happened was I was kind of chasing a tire leak problem or tire pressure issue. I don't know if it was a leak or if it was a pressure sensor problem.
Gotcha.
But that was the only downside. Everything else was fantastic. Food was great. People were great. We stopped at Chris's, which is in Huntsville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. By the way, on the Huntsville side of Monte Cristo, oh my God, the trees. It was just all red.
Oh yeah, that whole area right now. This is the perfect time of year to be there.
Yeah. No, I mean I don't I don't lose words very often. But when I had the windows down in the Cayman in third gear, just like going up to $7,000, pulling paddles and driving through these trees, it's pretty fucking surreal.
That's why that area is historically my background because Gavin lives down in Salt Lake and I historically lived up north.
Yeah, I mean, you're in Syracuse now. You were in Layton when I met you.
Mm-hmm, and I grew up in Kaysville, so I was always fairly close to that whole area.
Yeah.
And so we'd go up.
You've been basically Davis County.
Yeah, and so we'd always go up the canyon to Weber, to Pineview, and you know, that whole area.
Yep.
And yeah, this time of year,
enjoy it while you can. You need to take your Saab through there.
I'll take a tire gauge to my tires and see if I think I can make it. It's pretty baldy right now.
Or just drive your truck and just, be there for the views. Something I will say about the Cayman.
Yeah.
You know how how addicted I am to just pinning it?
Yes, very much.
Yeah, I could do that in the Cayman, but I could also just turn it off and just turn that part of me off.
Okay.
And just have it and drive because it was still a nice enough place to be.
Okay, wait. So we found a sports car that somehow doesn't tempt you
all the time.
All the time.
Just
what? Hey, hang on, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you realize how much of a miracle this is that it's just happened.
It's just gonna cost me $50,000, $40,000, whatever.
Find a way to fucking do it.
Yeah, so
for the good of your license.
I've been okay for the past year.
You have.
Yeah, my last speeding ticket was like a year ago in the Forester.
There's still been some close calls.
There have been. There definitely have been. But yeah, that was a pretty great day though. Also, shout out to Eric Clayton with his V8 gated 6-speed R8, who was in my rear view, following me, flying with me through Logan Canyon.
I'm sure that was a great view.
Oh my God, having a first gen R8 just filling up my rear view as I'm just For the conditions, I was kind of getting on it because I didn't want to lose the car group. I didn't want to bin this car that wasn't mine on these conditions that weren't exactly ideal.
No.
But having that car in my rear view with the fall colors and the windows down with the 6 cylinders, oh man, it takes a lot to like actually beat that.
Yeah.
That was a pretty fantastic experience. So shout out to Eric for being just an overall fucking boss, because he also helped consult with me on like where to eat and stuff when we were in Huntsville, and that's actually a lot of his neighborhood too, or his neck of the woods. And he's actually driven all over the state, trucking and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, he and you would actually really relate on a lot of stuff, I would think.
Does he live in Layton, or where does he live?
Ogden.
Okay, Ogden. Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I'll forward him to you.
You definitely
forward
should.
You to him.
I would love to discuss trucking things because I'm a nerd.
I think it was trucking. I can't remember. There's a lot of shit going through my head this last weekend.
Yeah.
Super rad dude though, and but yeah, article coming soon to Cam Auto Mag. I've already just did some word vomiting last night as far as notes is concerned, and I actually have to put together an actual story.
And now that he's drank a little more, he can word vomit again.
That's true. You know what? Maybe I will have my third drink tonight, and then that'll be my.
That'll be the hangover for tomorrow.
I know. But overall, pretty fucking rad weekend. Put 350 miles on my Cayman, and yeah, I can't say enough positive things about it. I'm a fan. I love it. It's
something made by Porsche, of course.
Fuck you. I did actually talk some shit on something from Porsche. Yeah, so they're making a Cayman coupe, which is basically an X6.
When the fuck are people going to learn?
I know.
I
know. That's kind of why I was talking shit. I'm like, this is the only Porsche I actually wouldn't want to drive or buy. I'm sure it drives great. I just don't want to be driving it. I'd rather drive literally anything else they make.
There's nothing really to compare it to, so I'm going to compare that to driving a dressed up Nissan Murano.
I mean, it's for the GLC and for the X6 and for the...
and I fucking hate all of them.
Sure. And you're allowed to.
I know. I know that I'm not alone in that fight.
I'm morally opposed to it. I'm sure it's a great vehicle. I'm just morally opposed to it.
I know that none of them are bad vehicles, but and I think the majority of the sentimental car community would agree, it's not about the dynamics or the lack of anything like that. It's just about the why the fuck.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Audi out here making the RS6 again.
Right.
For the United States.
I know, with a beautiful video that went with it and everything. And all this.
Tugging all the heartstrings on that one.
Fantastic fucking ad campaign and all this.
I mean, what if that's what brings wagons back?
I sure hope so.
Well, because Buick is already making a wagon again.
Which, ironically, I actually happened to be in a Buick dealership the other day, and there was one on the floor.
Why were you in a Buick dealership?
Because they had a GM part I needed.
Okay. I was like, what the fuck?
Only reason I was in a Buick dealership. But as I was walking out, I walked out a different door than I walked in, and passed a Regal Turbo, the wagon.
The GS or whatever, is that what it's called?
Uh-huh. I was pleasantly surprised.
From what I have heard, from what people have said about it, it's fine. Like, dynamically, it's fine for just the everyday person, just for the, random schmuck that doesn't want to own a crossover.
Yeah.
It's not like it's, a Panamera, Sport Turismo or the E63 wagon or the RS6 or whatever.
It's really,
It's a front-wheel drive based, system that has a good amount of power, but it's a fucking wagon. It's a wagon.
And it actually is a good-looking one, too. Like,
it doesn't look that bad. No, Buick could. Yeah, I saw one just the other day. I would get one in brown.
Yeah, the one that I actually it was
just for the
this
irony.
Kind of the deep burgundy. That was the color.
That don't look bad.
Yeah, that was the color that was in the dealership.
I saw a black one the other day.
Yeah,
I was like, that's not bad.
No, they really aren't.
It's the Buick Outback.
Yeah, it's a great
the Buick 4th Gen Outback.
It's a great family wagon. It's kind of. I would, even though Buick's supposed to be entry level luxury, quote unquote, I would hesitate to call it that, but it's more upscale Outback kind of a feel.
Yeah, I still think that the 4th gens are timeless, but I'm biased. Yeah.
But no, I mean I wouldn't mind one of those. honestly.
As a date, I think Brad Brownell has one.
And
The founder of Radwood.
yes, and I was actually surprised the price wasn't that bad. They started like 38 or something like that.
Yeah, it's about where I would expect it to be.
Yeah. But I mean, that's really not too bad, and especially if you're getting the 4-cylinder one, you'll get damn good gas mileage with it and shit, you know. And I was the one part that did surprise me, especially looking at how styled and swoopy it was, is the sheer amount of cargo room was actually much bigger than most wagons.
Yeah. It's also, it's not a short vehicle. It's pretty long.
It's a pretty long vehicle, yeah.
It's no Cayman.
No, it's pretty long. It's definitely not meant to be compact. It's definitely meant to be usable.
Sure.
But back to the RS6 thing. Yes, I hope that does bring wagons back, because that's had such, in the wagon community and even in just the general car community, that's developed such a cult status since the C7 came out with that RS6 and like how closely it can match some insane cars.
Was the C6 Gen the one with the twin turbo V10?
Yes, but there really just wasn't that many of those made. And
No.
That similar to like the E60 M cars,
Yeah.
where the styling was kind of very hit or miss depending on the person.
Yeah.
The C6 was that same way to the Audi guys.
Okay.
Kind of that same generation going on with everything.
Uh-huh.
More swoopy but less aggressive, and more both cars, the E60 M5 and the C6.
I would say the
RS6.
C60, or sorry, the E60 M5, or just that series of the Bangle 5 series.
Yeah.
That was a lot more polarizing, in my opinion, than anything Audi really from the last little while, but mostly the C6.
Yeah, and this is, the main reason why people were kind of about it is it just, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of coolness, but there also just wasn't nearly as many made.
Yeah, God, that's a beautiful color.
It is. Yeah.
That's kind of what they had on Top Gear. I think, didn't Hammond drive that?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, man.
Yep, just.
Nut.
Mm-hmm. But,
right inside it.
So, no, the C6 just, there wasn't, looks aside, there just wasn't that many made, so there wasn't a hype around it as much. The C7 announced a big departure in multiple ways from Audi with just angular aggressive styling. And
that's when they went back to the 4.0.
Went to the 4.0, yep.
Yeah.
And they, went to the Z. I mean, ZF has always made Audis trans, specifically their automatic ones.
Yeah.
And so, being that that's the case, that's the same time that ZF debuted their fantastic 8-speed that's in almost everything.
I mean, it's in FCA products. It's in Jag, BMW, other Audis.
Oh, yeah.
What else?
But this is right when that, came out as a new thing. Mm-hmm. And so it just kind of was this fantastic recipe for success for the C7 RS6.
Yeah.
And everything just lined up. And, it was, you can get the carbon ceramics. You can get all the crazy, crazy features on this wagon.
Yeah. I was going to say, speaking of automatics and RS models, we have a member of the car club, Diana, who has an RS5. The black RS5 has black Vossens on it. I took photos of this car back in the springtime. She did a launch from, like the end of the day, we actually drove up to Snow Basin.
Okay.
And that's kind of where we had our goodbyes from.
Gotcha.
And the colors going up to there were also fucking spectacular. But there's colors and snow-capped mountains in our view. So it was spectacular on all fronts.
Yeah.
But she did a launch from there, and that car fucking moves. Like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
And that's got the ZF8 speed in it as well, from my understanding.
I believe it does.
Also, that's the transmission in the new A90, actually, in the Supra, except the tuning, the TCU on that is a bit different than anything else, really.
Yeah. There's... Yeah, anyways, but no, I'm kind of interested to see where the wagonness goes with the RS6 coming back.
Are wagons going to kill the crossover? Like, I'm not saying they will. It would be nice if
they did. Please, burn it like fire!
I know.
I hate it because every damn brand now, mild rant real quick, every damn brand has at least 5 different SUVs that are slightly smaller than the last one, that have the same powertrain.
But bro, have you heard, actually though, what is cool, the new RSQ3?
Okay, there's some of them I can get along with.
It's got the 5-cylinder in it.
Yes, some of them I can get along with.
I
but
can fuck with that all day.
Here, let me give you a prime example.
Justin's ranting. And here we were worried about trying to fill up content.
Just give me something to rant on. Just a moment as I pull this up. I want to get this number correctly. Okay, so keep in mind, I pulled up Hyundai's website specifically because I know that they're one of the worst offenders, which means that they're generally good with business to a degree.
Yeah.
They know what's going good. So you pull up their website. When you go into vehicles, the first thing that it brings you straight to is crossovers and SUVs. They know what people are going for.
Sure.
There is 1, 2, 3, 4,
the Tucson
5.
and Santa Fe have been with them since fucking day one.
They have. But we now have 5 different SUVs.
What do you have?
We have... Sorry, it just decided to click on something that I didn't click on. We have the Kona, which is the micro one that's kind of supposed to be a little ruggedy. We have the Tucson, which is just above that, but around the same size. The Santa Fe, which is their mid-size. Then the Santa Fe XL, which is actually a different platform and larger, but same name.
Okay.
And then the Palisade, which is their full size, which is the same as the Kia Telluride.
Yeah.
So Kia is the same way. They have literally the exact same, because they're obviously shared company, the exact same 5 just copied to Kia form.
Sure.
And, Mazda is actually ironically scaled back. I think they're the only company that's scaled back on their SUVs because they no longer sell the CX-7 as of a few years ago.
Do they make the 9?
They make the 9, and they make 5 and the 3.
3.
But they got rid of the 7.
But there's also, they were going to have like the CX-30, which is going to be something new that slots in between the 3 and the 5, I recall.
Mm-hmm.
I also would recommend the CX-5 to fucking everyone.
I would, and I have. That is one of the SUVs I'm glad that happened, and is just all around.
I would adore to have one in the Soul metallic red with the turbo motor. That would be fucking awesome. I'm super down.
Yeah, no, and
because it's the same motor that's in the Mazda 6 Turbo that you and I both drove.
Mm-hmm.
And has that awesome transmission that gorgeous color, and it's a great size. It's practical, but it's not too big. It feels sporty. Has a good transmission, auto rev matching 6-speed auto, engaging to drive for a crossover. It's fantastic. Couldn't recommend it harder.
Yeah. So now we get to another, this is the last kind of example I'm going to bring up, but my problem with this is just the kind of diversity. So you have something like the CX-5, which honestly strikes perfect middle ground on almost every of those subjects you mentioned.
Okay.
But then we bring up somebody like Chevrolet. They have the Trax, which is that micro pile of shit that's basic.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's basically a hatchback, because it is literally the same size as like a Mazda 3 hatchback.
It's a lifted hatchback.
It's just lifted. The
CX-3 is kind of like that too, though.
It is a little bit, but this is almost a worst offender. You look at it and you're like, okay, it looks like they took something the size of a Volkswagen Golf and then just increased height by 25%.
Yeah.
So we got the Trax. Then we've got the Equinox. Then we've got the all-new Blazer that they just brought back, which is no longer another big controversy that is no longer like
save that for another day.
Yeah. But, no longer an actual SUV. Then you got the Traverse. Then you got the Tahoe and the Suburban, which have been there for forever.
And also, you haven't mentioned the Captiva yet.
Nope, I have not.
Which, by the way, is a recycled Saturn Vue. Is literally the same shit.
I know. And so you've got 7 different choices at that point.
Yeah.
7 different flavors of your bland-ass, dumbass, pile of shit,
well, it depends on how many kids you
SUV.
have. I mean, remember, we do live in Utah, after all.
Okay, hang on, but we don't need 7 different variants of that. That's the problem. You can get away.
Some think we do.
I know.
Some think we do.
I'm going to make several terrible jokes that will literally spear me if I continue.
You can make those remarks off mic.
I will. But no, my problem is this. We used to have, before the SUV craze happened, like a small, medium, and large SUVs. Small more or less became crossovers, or that's the term that evolved into the small SUV.
Yeah.
Then we have medium and then large, like a Suburban. And I think that system worked great because it gave The people that wanted those and needed those, that stuff. The ones that have evolved out of nowhere, like the Trax and Chevy bringing back the Blazer name, and these things kind of like randomly filling these middle gaps in between small, medium, and large are where I have an issue.
Yeah. But, Mercedes and BMW have been filling niches for years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at the... my favorite offender is the 4 Series Grand Coupe.
Yep.
Because they took the 3 Series, which could come in 2 and 4 doors.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you know what? Let's make a 2-door version of the 3 Series and have the 3 Series be the 4-door.
And the 2 Series...
No, the 4 Series
well,
is the 2-door, which, first of all, that doesn't fucking make any sense. And then they're like, wait a minute, wait. You know how the 4 Series has a lot more like swoopy and more elegant and beautiful lines than the 3 Series? What if we made that into a 4-door?
Oh, yeah.
What?
No, and I'm not saying this is the worst offender by any means, and I'm not even saying it's the only one.
No.
But it's definitely one that I know that I'm not alone in being perturbed by, because there's just, when I look at this list from almost every manufacturer that just pumps out SUVs like this, I see so many better options. For instance, like, let's go with a Blazer. I would be willing to bet that, for instance, that Buick Regal probably has more interior volume than that Blazer.
Yeah.
Probably is more practical. Probably is more economical. Because here's the thing.
Yes, but cup holders.
Fuck cup holders. If you got 2 in the front, 2 in the back, that's what you need.
But at the same time, we're not parents.
I know.
And cup holders are not only used to hold cups.
I know. You're talking to a person that grew up with a 7-person family and was the oldest. So,
yeah.
I'm well aware of the usefulness and with kids. However, my parents got along just fine with an expedition-sized vehicle to haul all of us around, because there's no reason to have anything smaller, and there's no reason to have anything different.
Yeah.
As far as a usefulness standpoint. And especially if you have a smaller family, like, ironically, these SUVs end up being more expensive, less practical, less economical, and kind of more, I wouldn't say harder to drive, but more odd to drive because of just the characteristics of their design than a wagon, which is based off of a sedan. So it's
like a car.
Drives like a car.
Yeah.
Anyways, I can go
End
for
rant.
hours. End rant, but you get what I'm meaning, and I know that I'm not alone.
Where are we at for time?
Now.
We're actually pretty good? All right, sick, cool. So more on the Cayman S review in the coming weeks. I will post a link on our Facebooks and on my personal Instagram, or my personal photography Instagram, which is gp.media. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, rants for us to discuss, mailbag.eos@gmail.com is our email. And if you want to slide in our DMs, please, honestly, feel free to. If you know us, in real life or at least on social media, hit us up. And if you want to slide into our page DMs, please feel free to do so. We're going to actually probably start shouting people out once we get more engagement and stuff, and engage with y'all, because it's actually a lot of fun too. So I'm on, like, if I'm being real, I am in withdrawals from that Cayman. I need it in my life. When I returned the car, I said to the owner, I was like, I think I actually need this in my life. I'm actually already planning to do like a Southern Grand Tour of my own. Maybe invite a couple people. Just have like a small thing, drive it down to Moab and stuff. See if I can pull that off. See if I can talk to the owner and extend the mileage range, because it's not a lot right now. But yeah, that's all I've got for you. Until next time, until Friday, we're gonna have it come out with the challenge on Friday, Turo challenge, because I'm kind of in the mood of that. And stick around, and you will hear more from us on Friday about that. But until then, I've been Gavin.
I've been Justin, and go RS6, kill all the crossovers.
And this has been the Expedition to Speed podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.